Hello, people of Ghana and people of Africa. It's nice to meet you today, and I hope you give me your ears and attention to listen to a few things I have to say and discuss with my fellow Africans. It's been a while. We set off as a country, and we've been in existence for long in terms of being Africans or blacks. But I want to center the discussion today to only Ghana, and in subsequent times we will try to expand. Today, the reason why I'm making this video is to draw the attention of the masses to what exactly is happening around the globe and what is happening in the country as we speak. We are getting closer to a voting period where political parties are going to contest for presidency. Since we are practicing democracy, and then I know we all know it is 4 years durations. And so the time is approaching where each party is campaigning. And the reason why they are campaigning is to convince the masses to get their votes. Which is not a problem because every party member wants to make his party the best and to get the maximum votes for his or her party. But I want to talk to us not as partisans, but as Ghanaians, and point out the reasons why there have been complaints on why the country is so hard, why the system is so hard, why people are suffering, and why people's needs are not being met. And when you listen to these complaints, they point back to promises that politicians made to them prior to being voted for. Those promises became like a failure, and so they are disappointed by that failure, and they are, lamenting on those. But it seems we have not come to realize that the problem we are lamenting against isn't really the problem. It seems we have jumped the actual problem, and then we are blaming the wrong people for our own neglect. Why am I saying this? Now, in order to get every society moving or every country moving the way it's supposed to move, there's something we call mindset and there's something we call leadership. Now, these two works together for both the leader and the citizens. Mindset. The leader is supposed to have a mindset, and the people are supposed to have a certain mindset. If a country should develop and improve. Now, when we get the mindset wrong, right from the leadership to the last man in the country, everything is going to go wrong. But when we get the mindset right from the onset, everything is going to be geared towards achievement of the right goals. Now, a country decides to practice a leadership called democracy, which means a government for the people, by the people, to the people. All right. It means whatever the people have come to decide, whatever the people have come to think of, is what they are choosing a leader for, to be able to lead them to achieve that aim. Unfortunately, down here in Ghana, we are practicing autocracy close with what? Democracy. I say it again. We are practicing autocracy that have been clothed with democracy. And so we go out to vote, and then after voting, we go back to sleep. And then we forget that we have given mandate to certain people to act our will or to execute our will. And so we vote without knowing why we vote. We vote without knowing the power we carry in our votes. So it's time every Ghanaian get to know the reality. And in building a nation, what what is supposed to be done. Look, we can criticize every party that have come in the past. We can criticize every government that comes and goes. But if we are not able to discern our own mistakes and our errors, we will keep the critics forever. Now, governance, okay, comes from a very small society. I will say that in Africa, I will use Africa for example. The smallest society we have in Africa is family. So in the family, we have some leadership in the family. The parents are supposed to be the leaders of the family, and in the parenthood, a man is supposed to be the leader in the parenthood, all right? And then the spouse or the wife also what comes after. Then the children comes after, and in the children you can see the eldest comes after in that order. And then from the family it moves into a neighborhood where we have assemblymen, and then it goes on to, let's say, a community. It moves on to a district. It moves down to a region, in that order. Now it means the leadership have come from a very small entity and keeps enlarging until it gets to the presidency or the highest authority of the land. Okay. Now, when we want to do this governance, you have to look at the family, what goes on in the family. If a family is able to be safe and the family is able to live in comfort, it means there has to be management, training, and security in the family. The basic needs of the family have to be met. For example, there has to be financial sustenance, there has to be food sustenance, there has to be proper health care, there have to be um, training and upbringing. Okay, that is developing your values. In the same way, when it comes to the governance, it's very important to take note of the wealth and the management of that governance. The same way, when a home is mismanaged, things fall apart. That's the same way when the government mismanages the resources of the country, things fall apart. And so when you keep repeating the things that makes your resources get mismanaged, you don't expect to get a better system. So let's look at this. What is really needed in governing a country, and what does it mean that a country has developed or a country is successful? What does it mean by that? You see, the primary aim of every government is to make sure that the well-being of the people are being met, or the well-being of the people are taken into consideration, and that the people are okay in every aspect of their lives, both in skills, in financial status, and access to public services. And so the very thing that is needed to run all these things, we say in our modern term, is money. Because without money, you can't do most of the things that you are aiming for. You can't do most of them. If you are planning to be a doctor, a pilot, what? The fundamental fueling substance is money. All right. And so now, how does the government manage or produce wealth? Most of the times, we often hear the government going out to borrow money from IMF, from the World Bank. And what is the reason why those monies are being borrowed? They are being borrowed to come and to come to construct roads, to come and build schools, to come and build hospitals, and sometimes to come and what? Pay workers, government workers, or sometimes contracts. But the point is, borrowing all this money from elsewhere and coming to pay all these things, the question we should ask ourselves is, why didn't we get the money from our own selves to pay or to do these projects? The reason why we are not able to use our own money is because we are not able to create the money. So someone has done the creation of the money and we need it. So we go to them to request that they should help us because we don't have the money to do what we are supposed to have or do as a country. Do you think there's a problem somewhere? Do you think something has fallen short somewhere? That how come the person you are going to borrow from have the money? How come that person have the money? And how come you don't have the money? That's what we should sit down and think about. Okay. Now, how do you make money? That's the follow-up question. If you are supposed to have the money and you don't have, and you have to go out and borrow, then you should ask yourself, how do you make the money? Because I don't think it's appropriate to go and borrow to be able to come and pay workers. Then the question is, what work was the workers doing, and what was the result, or what was the income from those workers? What revenue were you able to generate, which wasn't enough to pay those workers, for you to go out and borrow more money to pay them, forgetting that in borrowing is a debt and you have to pay for it. All right. I believe I'm bringing your mind to something. I'm drawing your attention to something. Now, this is the way the universe runs. When our leaders or our forefathers sat down, they realized that, or they planned, and then they established that minerals in the earth, minerals in the earth, which are a form of natural resources, is a source of money. I say again, mineral resources or mineral elements in the earth are the source of money. It means you can get all sort of wealth and all sort of money from these minerals. And that was what they established. And that's what we are following to date. If you're able to break this code, you'll be able to know how to get money. All right. Now, I'll take example to be gold. Gold is found in many countries and it is being mined from the ground. And there has been a general establishment that gold is money in its raw form. Gold is money in its raw form. And so wherever you get gold from, or whatever you were able to do to obtain gold, that gold is accepted and recognized as money all over the world. Why? Because it has been established by some leaders that came earlier on. They could have said, gold is nothing. In fact, gold is just a metal and we don't need gold for anything. But they said, no, these things are abundant in the soil. So let's use it as the basic source of wealth. All right. And so people gather the gold and then they store it. And then they say, no, this gold cannot be going up about in everybody's hands. This gold can't be roaming about in everybody's hands. So let's keep this gold somewhere and make a representation for the gold. Let's represent something with the gold. So let's print something called money. And then that money is going to be used instead of the gold, but then standing in for the gold. So when you pick $1, it's going to be an equivalent of maybe, and I'm setting an example, maybe a bar of gold or an ounce of gold. It's going to be equal to $1. So if you have $1, it means you have an ounce of gold, because the gold cannot be going in everybody's hands. So they represent the gold with a substance called money or fiat. All right. So here is the case. You are in a country where everybody needs money to survive. And the basic fact have been established that the money is in the soil. How do you get the money? You have to extract the money. That is the resource in the soil, the resource on the land. You have to extract it and process it to the standard in which it is being recognized as money. You process it and own it. Now, when you own it, you are having what is supposed to be money, and so you are rich. That's the first code you've broken. That's the first code you've broken, because without the gold, there's no way you get the money. Now you have the gold, so you have the money. I'm using gold as an example because it is something that is common. It applies to every natural resource, like bauxite, like manganese, like aluminium, or let's say alumini, from oil, so on and so forth. Okay, so in this instance, people are trooping in to the country. That's Ghana. You can see foreigners like Chinese. You can see foreigners like Britain. I'm using the Britain because Britain came here earlier on. They came to extract the minerals earlier on. People like Portuguese, they all came here to extract the minerals. And now the Chinese are here. And so we haven't come to realize how the wealth is created or what really is the wealth. We think that the fiat money, which is the paper, is what the money is. But in reality, the money is what they are coming to buy. That is the gold. The gold you are extracting in the soil is the money. So they come and exchange something for that gold without telling you that the gold they are taking away is really the wealth, which I will come to that later. So this is the instance. They come extracting the gold from the soil, or sometimes we find a way to extract it through galamsey, what have you. When we extract it, we sell the raw form of the gold to these invaders, and they go to their countries and they process it. They process these raw materials into various products, and they come out with various goods and various services from these natural resources. Okay, so let's look at this. When they came, they said, these materials are raw. In fact, there is no value in it. So we are going to give you just a pinch of dollars and take the raw materials. Then, because we don't know how to use those resources, we take the small money that was given to us, and then we hand over the whole resources to them. They go to their home or their countries, they go and turn it. They go and turn it up, down, and produce different things and use them for different purposes. And they store some as their reserves. Okay, when they're able to process them, now they are now shining, they are now glittering, and then we develop taste for them, saying, wow, what a nice product, what a nice taste that. Then we go, we want them, we want to wear some of the gold, we want to wear some of the ring, we want to wear some of the chain. So we want to buy. And then imagine this, they bought the gold from us. If I'm using cities, I will say, let me see, for example, they bought um 1 pound of gold from us, maybe 1,000 cities. As an example, we go back and buy the finished product for 5,000 cities, for 10,000 cities, and we ship them back to our country and start wearing them, feeling so, amazed and so amused by it, because we've gotten gold necklace, gold anklets, gold earring to wear. But we forget that these things we've bought multiple times the price they bought from us are our own resources, right? And so we end up giving our hard-earned money to the foreigners. They suck all the money from our system. They go and then upgrade or add value to whatever they take from here. For example, if it is woods, we cut all the woods and sell them very cheap price. They go outside, they go and manufacture chairs, they manufacture um, fans, they manufacture, how do you call it, boards and everything from the woods. Now they come back and sell them to us multiple times the price they bought from us. So that's number of times higher that we are paying for. Where is that money coming from? And where is that money going? It means practically we are sending all our money out from our system to them. So when you hear that China's GDP is what point something trillion what dollars, it's not magic. They didn't do magic. What they are doing is they are giving you what they have and then they are taking your money. And when they take the money, they are able to pay their workers. They are able to pay even the vulnerable who are not working because they are getting profits. So please take note of the word profits. They are able to look after their aged who are in their homes with profits. They are able to take care of newly born children who are not even working because they have enormous profits. They have produced more, they have sold more, so they'll get more. Here is the case in our instance. We are not able to provide enough health care. We are not able to pay the salaries of our workers to their satisfaction. We are not able to take care of the needy. We are not able to even fund or get a quality education for our children. What is the reason? The reason is we don't have any money because all our monies are being used to buy the things that the foreigners produce. And now, do you remember the money that our leaders go and borrow? Those monies are what they come and circulate in the system, which we get a share of, and we also send to the outsiders because we are buying their things. So a broad money comes to us, and then we, for our taste of the things that we need, we buy them from outside, and we send back the broad money times 10 to them. So we are always borrowing and sending back the money, borrowing, sending back the money, and we are not able to pay the debts. The money we've borrowed is piling up. Look at these 32 years of the two parties we have in Ghana, MPP and NDC. They borrowed money to the extent that I don't know when we are going to pay that money. I don't know how. If this narrative keeps going. And so we go beg for the money they give us. They come and pay salaries. They come construct roads, schools with it. The little that the citizens are able to get, we still go out and buy the things that we owned initially. We buy them at a higher price, a higher cost. And then we are enabling them, the Americans, the British, the Chinese, what have you, to be able to pay their aged who are in the house, to be able to pay the children who are now born with our monies. Why? Just because we failed to add value to what we have. Now, this is the basic reason we are suffering as a country, because we don't know the direction to take the nation. We don't know how a nation is really built. We don't know how wealth is really acquired. Let me give you a slight example. Or let me ask this question. Between someone who is receiving, okay, someone who's always receiving, someone who's always taking from you, and someone who is always giving, between these two people, who is likely to have more? Or at the end of the day, when we are doing a count, who have gained more? Is it the one who is always receiving, or the one who is always giving? You can say for a fact then that the one who is always receiving will be having more at the end of the day, because that person is not losing. But the one who is always giving is the one who is going to what? To lose more, or that's the person who's going to have a reduction of what he was having because he's always giving. That is the scenario in this case. So if we want to get wealth as a country, that means we should always be receiving the wealth or the money from others. We shouldn't be giving our money to them. It's just like you've opened a business and then you are running your business. How do you make money from the business? Is it by sharing your inventory or by dashing people your inventory? No, you get money from selling your what? Your inventory, and in so doing, you are getting money from the buyer. So you are gaining. The buyer takes the inventory or the product and gives you money as an exchange. So if you take a day, for instance, and 10 people come to your shop and buy something in the shop, it means you've taken money from 10 people that day. You've taken money from 10 people that day. So you received, and now you have uplifted your wealth level by receiving. And that is what every country that wants to succeed must adapt. That means increase your taking power. Don't let it confuse you, okay, with um buying from outside and selling to outside. It's two different things. When I say you have to increase your taking power, it means you have to increase your ability to take the money from elsewhere than the ability for elsewhere to take your money. I'll get the two. Increase your ability to take money from elsewhere by exchanging what you have with them. You have to work on increasing that ability. It's not just enough to produce to mine a gold and sell it. It's not just enough to extract oil and sell it. It's not just enough to carry stones and sell them. It's not just enough to cut woods and sell them. When you do that, you may be earning the money, but because they are going to finish the product, they will come back and take that money that you earned. So instead for devaluing yourself, you have to always put the maximum value that you can get, and then that finished product which they are going to finish, you would have already finished it here, and so you take the money that they would have taken if they finished it. That money will be added to your raw material money, and so you have more money in your system. So that's the secret. Increase your exporting power and decrease the importation power. Increase your exporting power and decrease your importation power. That is the basic principle to wealth acquisition. How much are you able to give? How much value are you able to give? That's going to show how wealth you really are. It just applies to simple life. And so when the citizens in the country don't understand these basic things, they will always be blaming economy. They'll always be blaming their ancestors. You see, it's all about knowing what must be done. And I can see for a fact that all these political parties that have been a system have not really decoded, they have not really decoded the problem which the country faces. Or they have not really sat down to know and to find out what actually makes a country extraordinary, what really makes a country call itself developed. They have not really sat down because they are following a system that have been set up by their colonial masters in the favor of these same colonial masters. Because look, if these masters are not able to get your resources, they will not be able to become those masters that have that or who have uh, made their country what it is now. If they don't get your mineral resources, they can't become that great America, that great Britain, that China, that what have you. They'll not be able to become that country without your resource. And so they have structured it that no, if we let these people see the need to use their own resources and benefit from their own resources, we will not become rich anymore. And so let's make a system for them whereby they will not see the need to process their own resources, whereby they will think that gaining money is by coming to borrow. In that way, we can have control over their resources till the end of time. Look, the things Africa and Ghana has, if we were to use those things as the whites are using them, do you know that the whites will be coming here to work for us? You know that they'll be coming here to seek for employment, but because they have turn the mentality the other way around. They have made us not see the need for resources. We've not seen the need to upgrade our resources. And that is what they are always fighting, or they are always aiming for us to be thinking. Always mentioning dollars, $1 billion, so that you will think that that's dollars they are having is the money. Meanwhile, that dollars is something they have made to back up the gold which they have in their reserve. All right, and so I'm going to leave it here for the part one of this conversation, and I'll come back with part two on what we need to do with our resources to be able to become those exporting powers which we need to be, or which we need to have to get our economic freedom, our financial freedom as a country. I'll come with that part two. Thank you for your attention and listening, and I hope you subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back with more. Thank you.